Hey, everybody, welcome back to the LWN Network. It is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. We have a very interesting show, at least I think, for you guys tonight. It is going to cover a bunch of different topics regarding NeuroLINK. We've heard about that before, but is AI actually taking over? Do you know that there's actually also competition between AI systems already? And of course, Elon Musk doesn't want to lose that. He wants to be heading up and leading that whole AI program. So we'll talk about that as well. John E. has a great article with information he's going to share with us. LW's backstage as well. He's got a burr in his behind that I hope he gets out before he gets on the front of the channel here because he's a little bit edgy. I don't know what happened, but it's going to be a great show. We've also got, how about this, robots. We're going to talk about all the robots that are out. There's a variety of them that are coming out, that are due out. Elon said by the end of the year, there's going to be humanoid ones, which are the ones that help around the house and stuff that should be out. So we're going to cover that and how all this technology, you guys, we want to hear what you have to say. Is it going to help us? Is it going to hurt us? Is this a big fat no for you guys? Or are you kind of on the fence and you're going to wait and see attitude? So we've got that and so much more as soon as we come back right after this.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Oh, I got to change that banner. Hold on a second. It's I'm learning some new stuff tonight and having fun doing it too. But it is kind of a shit show, right, Tammy?
Yeah, but it's okay. If we start off that way, it's always a wild ride. We might as well get our blood flowing early.
Well, I was seeing some of the thumbnails on on Rumble. And I think that some of the thumbnails, when we do the welcome at the beginning, that's all that shows up. So what I'm trying to do is download the thumbnails in here and put the thumbnail out first. So that's the first thing that shows up on Rumble. It's such a stupid little process that you have to figure out, or you have the same boring picture up all the time. So I figured that out today. I just didn't push all the buttons in the right order, but we're here tonight. And, Tammy, I told you off air, I got a little bit of the Jersey attitude after I came back from Jersey. And I'm getting ready to go back in about a week and a half. But what's got a burr under the saddle for me is, I've been really trying to look through a different lens and give different perspective, because the one thing I don't want to become is just an echo chamber. So we love the opposition coming in here. We love people coming in here with different opinions, a different lens. I don't care if you're on the left, the right. I'm going to play a video for you guys tonight that was shared to us by John Estabrooks at the end of this show, right before final thought. So stay tuned for that. You're not going to want to miss it. Some of you may really enjoy it. You might agree with it. Some of you, it might piss you off and you're like, no, I'm going to stay on the same track. I'm not jumping off the track, and that's fine too. We want to get your comments. We want to get your thoughts. That's what this show is about. We love people telling us what you think. So with that being said, I want to welcome my brother in Christ, John Estabrooks, and of course, Tammy Nation, produced the show again today. Thank you for that, Tammy. I'm ready. I'm ready for the roller coaster.
I think it's going to be emotional, mental,
Can
physical.
you hear me?
Yep, John, how are you?
Okay, well, I didn't hear Tammy a while ago.
Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now?
Do you have her muted?
Oh, no, it's not a bad thing when you can't hear Tammy. It's really not a bad thing. But John, we have that same problem. So you might have to hop out and come back in, because Jeff can't hear her sometimes too.
All right, I'm going to
just hop out, come back in. All right. Well, there you go, Tammy. We start the show off with a shit show, and like I said, it's not a horrible thing not to be able to hear you.
Well, it's a good. This would be bad if you couldn't hear me about this, LW, Mr. Burman, because Cheryl Hall already donated a coffee for us this evening. And she said, hello, I appreciate you guys and love listening. Much love and peace. So Cheryl Hall, thank you so very much for that donation to start us off.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
So let's see. John, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
That's all it was. Very good. So I guess we can get this bus rolling on all 4 tires or 6 tires or 8 tires. So we got a short bus tonight or we got a big bus. I don't know.
Wait, there you go.
Why don't you go ahead, Tammy? You're in the driver's seat. Have at her.
Okay, let's start with Elon and talking about the Optimis being the big deal coming out, this Optimis robot. And what he's saying is it is going to be the best surgeon, better than any human surgeon. And he said there's actually going to be more Optimis robots out there than great surgeons on all of the earth. He expects them to be out within 3 years. He actually even said, don't waste your time going to medical school, as doctors and robots will be far better than humans, and they will even come to your home and help you out. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm not looking forward to no doctor or no surgeon being an AI robot. They're AI driven. And so Elon's calling them a super genius robot. And it's far beyond, obviously, the ones that are going to do chores in your house and your taxes and everything else. But not only do I want to find out what you guys in the audience has to think about having doctors and surgeons as robots, whether they're called Optimus or not. That's a big name for him. But they are going to be using a lot of electricity and other stuff. And my question is, it's like a 2-part question. First, about the robots and stuff and what you think. And our grids and electricity and all that and data centers are already fragile. Data centers are taking all that electricity up, water up, and everything. People are complaining. So I don't know how these bots are going to work efficiently. I really don't. So take it from there. What do you guys think?
Well, I want to reiterate your question, so everybody watching live tonight and watching the replay drops a comment. I'm gonna let my brother John Estabrooks go first to answer that question, and then I'm gonna go last. So here's the question to chat: would you allow a robot doctor, AI robot doctor, whatever you want to call them, operate on you? Would you go to a doctor's office and see an AI robot as a physician? Would you allow that AI robot to come to your home and work on you there at home and do what we call the old frickin' house calls? It was really cool back in the 19th century, 18s something, right, where the doctor could come to your home. I thought that was really a unique service for doctors. So that's my question to you tonight. If you're watching the replay, drop us a comment. Would love to see it. John Estabrooks, go ahead, sir.
Well, the only way, first off, we already have robotics in the operating rooms all over the country. I mean, any big hospital has got robotics that are being operated by the doctors right now. Mm-hmm. So all you're doing is taking the human aspect out of the operation of the robot that are already in operating rooms. So that part doesn't bother me. Before I would let a robot cut on me, I would want him to come to my house and keep my grass cut for 30 days, do some tilling in the garden before I would ever trust him putting a knife to me. Mm-hmm. I'd want to have a one-on-one interaction. But that's not what's going to happen. Musk, in the reading of The Blind Side and going through that entire deal, and then I was talking about it with my daughter. She's a nurse, and there's great questions behind it that we should all question. When you start talking about a robot, well, then that means his mind is totally AI. Everything about it is artificial intelligence, and they're the link. And I did a Facebook post about this the other day. So artificial intelligence is created by man, so it becomes man intelligence, And now they've empowered these machines, and we're feeding them so much data at such a fast pace. It is unbelievable the rate of speed that this is going to grip the entire planet. Number one, Stephen H. and I had a good, healthy conversation today about it, because he takes one approach to it, and I agree with him. And I take an approach that's totally separate. And not, there's nothing, number one, there's not a thing that we can do. And that's the first thing you need to write on a notepad today. There's not a thing that you can do to stop AI and its advancement. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. It's here. It's here, and it's going to take over. The impact is going to be far reaching, because you just said there's no need for anybody to go to a medical school, and we don't need human doctors anymore. Yep. All right, so then, okay, we don't need any truck drivers anymore. We don't need any oil field workers anymore. We don't need any farmers anymore. We're going to turn it all over to robots. Elon Musk.
Just don't say we don't need any electricians anymore, John,
well,
please.
Mike, I hate to tell you, bro. but then
how about podcasting personalities? Are they going to do away with that too?
That may be the market to be in, buddy. They can't replace us.
I'm gonna dump all my money into this show.
just because they were able to replace Joe Biden, don't think they can ever replace you, Mike. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. Elon's saying that there's going to be way more robots out there than humans, and it's exactly that. And he said, obviously, that it's going to be by the end of this year, next year, for the really detailed ones. And he's also got, there's out there a neuro robot, which is like basically a smaller cost factor. It's a lot smaller. It's only like 4 feet and 79 pounds for people who want to spend less. So, $30,000 is around the price or less that he thinks he's going to be able to offer these to the public at. And that's, that's almost as much as a car. It's less than some big trucks. So, I mean, that's doable for people that want to do that. My question is it going to make us lazy? Is it going to make us less sociable? Mm-hmm. Because they're saying we'll have more free time, but what will we be doing with that free time?
All right.
Yeah.
So
write those two questions down real quick, Tammy, so we don't forget them, because I want to circle back girl and get back to those two questions. I want to respond to this, and this is I want to aim it toward John Estabrooks. So I'm trying to take a different line here, right? I'm trying not to create a echo chamber. So it's not that I agree with the AI bot doctors. I want to be clear about that, but I want to maybe throw some pros at it with one con. And I want to see how John reacts to this and what his thoughts are. So could this, and I saw the comment from Carlene about the med beds. I think that's great too. And I agree with her. I would rather go lay in a med bed and have that over a AI doctor. But what if an AI doctor is running the med bed? That's my question to Carlene. Okay, here we go, John Estabrooks. Could this lead to free health care? Because you don't have to pay an AI doctor. I mean, you'd have to pay for probably programming in the hospitals. Would it make either free health care or at least reduced health care? That's one pro I could maybe see. Them coming to your home and doing a home visit, to me, that would be a pro, because there are elderly people that can't make it to the doctor. I mean, they have to have family and friends and to get them to the hospital or to the clinic or to their doctor, and sometimes they're not always available. So could that be a pro? The next one would be faster care. Could they do something faster? 24-hour care versus, having a whole staff of medical personnel at a hospital 24 hours. You would reduce that, maybe have 24-hour. Could they, and this is a question, could they do surgeries that are non-life threatening, quicker, more efficient, which would reduce the cost of those surgeries? But here's my con. What if, John Estabrooks, they were doing brain surgery and they opened you up and they got in there and all of a sudden something worse happened, or there was something unseen? God, I would a human surgeon could maybe respond in a different way to save me, because it's a life. They're a living person versus an AI robot surgeon that just looks at it, and maybe they look at your brain bleed or whatever you got going on and say, it's too late. You're not salvageable, and they just let you die on the table. That to me is a con. So those are my questions to John Estabrooks. I yield to you.
Okay, what about a glitch or a hack?
Yeah.
That's where Stephen and I today, because that's what I told him, so you get this, and I don't care what AI it is, but when you're talking about somebody cutting on you, do you want the possibility of a computer glitch? And then he shared with me, because he's using multiple AI platforms, questioning, testing them, and guess what? He catches them lying. And then when he tells them, you're lying to me, then guess what they do? They go into a glitch. They pull an AOC.
Again, I want everybody to realize I am not for it. I'm just trying to give a different perspective. I'm just putting questions out there that I think are good questions. I'm not saying I would allow it on myself or my family. Just simply saying, are those possible cons or pros, good things that could come from it? Because I think that technology has a good side, and I think technology has a very dark side, depending on who's operating it, right?
All right. One of the things that I'll tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that Stephen and I are in 100% agreement. For every AI that is operating right now, and there are many, for every one of them that is ethical, it might have integrity, and supposedly, these are soulless machines, but you can give them the definition of empathy, and they may, but their feelings, no. So that's the one thing. But then every single time you get to the point, there's good versus evil. Yep. And this open AI, you get one madman, one guy that's evil, and he unleashes it with the power that this is going to take on. What happens then? When you take a guy like Musk, and even when I read Musk, because I got 15 pages I printed out on Blind Sight. And when you look at Blind Sight, God bless a man for wanting to let someone see, to heal the blind. But when you talk about what he's doing, does he have a God mentality that when I do this and we're successful at it, I'm doing something that only Jesus Christ could do, heal the blind. But that's, how will we know where Musk truly intends to take it? Because even when I read this document from it, I'm trying to think of the top, Elon Buzz. I've printed out 15 pages off Elon Buzz. So NeuroLINK reveals new blind sight implant. So the blind sight implant is taking us from science fiction to science fact. The latest update, the first human trial of blind sight is planned for 2026. And I think they're going to do 4. And these are the human experiments that they're going to do. And these people have volunteered because they're blind. I love them. God bless them. I hope it works. And then it breaks down what it is, and it's blind sight is going to be a set of glasses that are interfaced with a computer that's implanted in your brain and then connects to your visual cortex,
yes,
your optic nerves, and it'll be better than human sight. Now, when he starts bragging about that and how much better it'll be, and it'll be like a superhuman. Well, wait a while. Did we need to go that far? How about you restore somebody? And then it breaks down. It goes into great detail. Like when they first get it, they've got to program it, right? This is going to be a process for the person that this is implanted in. Their first deal is they'll beam light off of the glasses, the optic outside of it, and then I see light, and it may have first appeared like dots on a screen. Yeah. But then, it could be like, and it actually references Atari, You know, it may look like an old Atari game from back in the day. But then eventually, as it progresses, they'll be able to take it to a full visual function to where, shoot, they'll be able, you know, the human eye, like when you're on water, you can look out to the horizon, you can see 15 miles, and these guys will be able to, just like you do on your phone when you're using a phone camera or telephoto lens, you know, you can zoom out. So, yeah, they would have superhuman vision.
Well, that's what he said directly from him, John, because I had the same thing that you have with this coming out, because it's the cutting edge, right? It's the vision. After the NeuroLinks, it's the vision. He said long term that you would have very high resolution and see multispectral wavelengths. He said you could see infrared, ultraviolet, radar. And he did say it's like a super human power situation there. And
I could see an advantage to that, Tammy.
Yeah.
Well, when you're in a crowd of people and somebody lets one slip and then they try to blame everybody else, do you think that superhuman power could actually see the fart coming out,
the gas,
and
then that way nobody could actually blame somebody else for doing it?
Where did that brain go just right there? See, we need to have you talking to AI. You need to be a data point for AI, bro. That'll freak them out. Ask Grok that question.
But it happens, right? It happens.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? This is War Machine on here, and he said that you would look another dimension humans can't see. Now, I've heard about that. That's the part of this long-term thing. Do you really want to be able to see other dimensions or other beings? I don't think so.
Well, let me ask you this.
No.
Are you of the mind, because Stephen and I both are you of the mind that we live in this reality, but there's realities outside when you, especially, and Stephen is really studying hard quantum mechanics and in that there could be this reality that you see, and you see me waving my hand. And then in another reality, I haven't picked my hand up yet. So to be, you know, and you have to understand consciousness and how we view consciousness. And it gets so deep that, like I told Brother Stephen, I know it exists. I agree with you. And I get the quantum entanglements that are possible. And because it exists, folks. Well, here's the thing. If we operate biblically and we realize that we're put here and this is a test, this is a proving ground, and that's the whole thing with AI. And that was part of my post that I wanted people to understand. Our natural God-given brain has us learn and make choices. We learn to make decisions based on our human reaction to it. I won't do that again. Like a kid sticking a bobby pin in an electrical socket. They'll only do that once, you know, and then they'll never do it again. You won't even get them to plug a light switch, you know. But it's the same thing. And here's what AI, because I go to the depth of where is this taking us? And what is the actual impact on the human mind? And when you read Elon's little deal, like, okay, so first human trials for blind sight, multi-implant integration, where it'll be vision, speech, and motor implants in one person. The system will expand to 10,000 channels for advanced mind-device communication. Ambition to scale to 25,000 electrodes for whole brain access, aims for broad AI connectivity and direct mind to device symbiosis. Scary.
Okay.
So,
yes.
That's where the transhuman comes in.
Okay, so there's also an article that you can look up that is actually it was the National Library of Medicine, and it was on transhumanism, and it's about Elon. And they're saying in this article that transhumanists advocate for the three supers, which are super intelligence, super longevity, and super happiness. Okay. But the thing is that it all goes into the mind making it digital by pursuing genetic engineering and designing and pursuing anti-aging. So when they go into that and like what you're saying, you lose all your humanness. If you don't ever think you're going to die, be sick, and they got control all over that. Who wants that? That's
As
where
long
it
as
crosses the line.
Yeah, as long as they want to keep you around. Because what if that becomes to the point to where AI views us as, useless. We
Right.
serve no
threat.
purpose. They do everything better than us. I think we've seen the movie. Didn't they
Yeah.
show us the movie?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. But in right now, in the use of AI, what is being captured, because trust me, neurologists are studying impact of the AI on the human brain. So when you take a person, and I had a lady, a dear friend of mine, a great patriot, she's a firm believer in old number 17. And when she read my post, she came back and she goes, well, I use Grok, and what used to take me a week, I can do in 10 minutes. And I said, my point is made. When you start to only have to ask a device a question that you would take a week to solve, because when you're solving that, you're actually functioning your human mind and your brain, and you're keeping your brain functionality at a high level, a high frequency. Because anytime I have seen this, I've watched science to where they take a child and they use an MRI imaging machine, and they run a little boy in there, and they put up a math equation, and his little brain warms up. His frequency starts to go higher, and it turns bright red, right? Then they read him a sad story, and he could care less about that, and his brain starts to cool down, and it becomes blue on the screen. Then they run a little girl in, and it's the totally opposite, because little girls are more emotional. They read a sad story, and her little brain will light up red. Then you give her a math question, and she could care less because she knows that guy's going to figure it out. So her little brain cools down. Well, now what are we doing with AI? So we're allowing AI to do complex and solve complex problems for us, to where we no longer have to have our minds function. And so our resonance, our frequency cools down. We become detached from God, from the very essence of connecting to the what we're supposed to be here for. We lose that, and we become controllable. Listen to what I just said, because that's the fact of where this is going. You will become controllable.
I believe that too, John. But so again, I'm trying to be on the other side of the coin. Is there any good, positive outcome from this type of technology that you feel could help humanity? Either one of you, is there any good points that you guys can come up with? And that's a question for chat tonight. If you're watching the replay, drop me a comment. Is there any goodness that can come from this technology, whether it be our military coming back from war, having amputations and stuff, and they get new prosthetic legs and arms, and this thing can help them control that and be somewhat normal. Maybe people that were born and can't walk, can't see, they can now walk, they can see. Is there any good that can come out of this technology, or is all of it bad? That's my question to both my co-hosts. That's my question to you in chat.
Well, I know that with the people, there's like 12 people that have NeuroLINK, and they control different mechanics and digital things, computers by thought. I don't think that is a good idea. I think that's messing with the God thing. And I think robotic arms and legs like they've been doing is amazing. But when you start messing with the brain and all that in that kind of way and implanting, they can override it. They can take it. We don't know what's going to happen with it. So I think it's too far. That is where I'm going to stand right now. I don't like it. And there's always glitches and I don't trust it, because you have to remember, you got to trust the people that are doing it. Now, these doctors and stuff aren't going to be happy losing their jobs. And it's whoever's at the helm, whoever's the captain of the ship, which is Elon, it seems. So far, he's on the cutting edge, and China. I don't know how comfortable everybody is with China. With this. China, but I just think it's too far advanced. We are losing our humanness, and that's why I think it's a bad thing. We already lose enough of it with all the digital stuff, and I think that's going to do it even more. That's my opinion.
Thanks for your point there, Tammy. John, same question to you. Any goodness at all, or all bad?
Well, there could be massive goodness. I mean, that's the one thing. Because when Stephen and I look at it and we dig into it, the great things that AI could provide and do for humanity, it's mind-boggling. We can't even conceptualize it. We just like giving someone sight. How powerful is that to take a child that's blind and be able to give them vision? My God, I mean, that's something I could praise and say, hey, thank you. You know,
or hearing, right?
Yeah.
Or deaf could hear for the first time.
They are.
Yeah.
So that means the greatness and the goodness of it is great. And then when you made the statement, Mike, about guys coming back from war, amputees, here's the thing. And I want you to tell me who's the smartest senator in the United States of America. Give me the guy's name. Give me a handful of people, and we can agree to disagree. But just give me throw me out a senator's name.
Well, I think one of my favorites at the moment is your senator, Mr.
John Kennedy.
Yeah.
John Kennedy. Smart.
I'm not saying that he's
guy.
the smartest.
No,
I'm not saying he's the smartest, but I definitely like Kennedy for sure.
All right. So he's got a high IQ. And I would like to see Kennedy run a lot more than he's allowed to run right now. But here's the thing. Do you know that Kennedy's brain can't compete with AI today?
No.
He doesn't. He doesn't have
Elon Musk, I would consider a genius and probably far beyond his time, right? He's way ahead of his time. And he can't even, I don't even think any of our geniuses, even maybe there's people smarter than Elon right now, and people that work for Elon, I don't think can keep up with AI right now.
No, that's fact. So now that's a reality. AI right now functions better than any human. So let's just say, put that out there. Now, what if I pose the question as a human to AI? I give it a task: end war. I don't want no more wars on the planet. I don't want to see another human die because of government and wars. And they would have the ability. Don't think that AI, that's another thing. How do you protect, and go back to where we had the war game deal, and I forget the name of that movie, but if you allowed a supercomputer, a super AI, to take over the weapons, the nukes, and have access and control to the Department of Defense, which is building them. Don't think they're not building, they're building AI. So it could be flipped on its head, huh?
Well, AI's already taken control over itself when it gets mad at the so-called programmers. They're already outsmarting on the simplest.
They're shutting themselves down.
Yes. So they're already just at the beginning stages. We see problems. I mean, that's like warning, everybody. Now, the next aspect of this that I wonder, Elon also stated this, because people obviously are concerned about their jobs and losing their jobs. And, industry is where all these bots are going in the first place. Okay. Then it's going to make its way into our homes, supposedly by the end of next year. But Elon said that there's so much work that the robots are going to take, replacing humans, the unemployment's going to be so high that we are going to be forced to implement a universal basic income. So
Yeah.
what does that sound like to you?
I think our brother Travis, I put his comment up quite a while ago. Travis already brought that comment to the table tonight. He said, pay attention because it'll usher in fair wages, equal wages, socialism, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we've already been told. Everybody thinks old Klaus Schwab has disappeared from the. He dropped away from the World Economic Forum, but he still is a powerful man. And Harari, or whatever his name is, Yuval Harari.
Yeah, can't stand that guy.
Well, listen, they told us where we're headed. You will own nothing and be happy.
Be happy. Yep.
Universal basic income, because there's a way to do that to where, okay, all taxation is alleviated. We're headed toward that. So there's no tax on us anymore. And then they can buy, there's mechanisms digitally that they can put in place to where they will give you a balance, and it's money, cashless society, how money's it will disappear. It'll go away. It's a scam anyway. So we've dealt with the scam since 1913. And all we're seeing now is the next iteration of where they're going. This great reset is not going to be great for humanity. It's going to be great for the upper crust elites who've already got everything and all the assets. They control everything. So
well, the thing is, it's not.
They'll just give us a universal basic income.
Well, we've all talked about this and known about this, but this is the issue. It's happening now. The future is now, is my point. So for the people that didn't believe it, didn't know, maybe don't remember, new people that don't buy into this, it is happening now. This is no longer hearsay. They've been cloning and stuff way back in the day, which is the precursor to transhumanism. It wasn't started with Dolly the sheep and it didn't end there. I mean, in the 90s and 70s, there were different doctors and stuff that were doing that. So you can look it up. I got the names of them and I read some of that and I was like, wow, because people have taken the word cloning and made it this crazy ass thing that everybody laughs at, right? No, it's real. So
no joke.
That's like part of transhumanism, right? So you take the links, you take the clone person, you've got the robots, and you intercept everybody as one and everything as one. There was even supposedly a baby that was born for a clone baby that was named Eve. And I don't know, I haven't heard more about that. But like I said, you go back in and whatever hasn't been scrapped, there is stuff from way back in the day regarding all of this stuff. Elon's not the first one to do it. That's my point. Elon's the one ushering it to the forefront because he's got the money to do it and the backing from China and everywhere else that is participating. Some are secret people or try to stay secret, but Elon was putting all this out about the robots and everything at the World Economic Forum. And who was asking him was all these questions with the dang BlackRock CEO that we can't stand. So his hands are all over it too. Larry Fink, yes. So it's crazy to me that we are at this point right now.
If we go back and since I'm old, I can remember when I first entered the workforce and how things were with regard to safety and everything. And then once the attorneys and lawyers went into our industry in the oil field, safety, everything changed, huh? Because it became about, they started HSE, health, environment, and safety, but what they were doing is limiting their liability. And the truth of the matter that I've heard drilling managers, is there any way we can remove the human from this task? How do we get the human from this task? So industry, corporations, they're looking at, hey, we got, a robot dies, who cares? We'll plug another one in. And that's what they did. That's what they did with us back in the day. If somebody got injured on a drill floor or got killed, they went in and there was a guy there the next day. You never knew what happened. You might have the empathy and the sadness of losing somebody that you worked with, but there was always somebody that wanted that job in the patch, huh? But now you're talking about replacing humans with robots. And at what point in time does AI say, well, why do we have to go through this entire process of giving them a universal basic income when they don't do nothing? We're doing it all for them.
You know they're going to go rogue. They're going to have different personalities, just like people do eventually. And that's not even getting into the spiritual aspect of what some people believe AI is. But real quick, I want to say thanks to Tammy Jackson. She donated a coffee for us, and she said thank you for encouraging all opinions on this fantastic show. Love you guys. That's awesome. Tammy.
So now that puts us at $430 to our $750 goal for the Z Grill that we're going to give away at the end of next month.
Nice.
So for every $5 coffee that you guys buy, that is an entry into that drawing, and for every $5 that is spent in the merch store, that is also an entry into that drawing. So every $5 increment is your name goes in that drawing every time. So you could have 100 chances to win that Z Grill, or 200 chances, or one chance. It only takes one to win. But we're giving away a lot of stuff when it comes to the end of this next March. And Tammy and I will let you guys know what date that is, so that you guys can be there for it. It'll be alive, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. So we've covered basically the aspect of the financial things that could happen, the physical things that could happen with surgeries, and everything else. But Elon Musk also stated this, which was pretty terrifying to me. He said basically the death of the human language is going to be soon, because this is some of his quotes. He said, our brain spends a lot of effort compressing a complex concept into words. Language isn't communication, it's failed compression. You have a complete thought, you crush it into words. The listener gets fragments and attempts reconstruction. Everything important dies in translation. He said, we don't communicate, we approximate and hope it's close enough. He said, you would be able to communicate very quickly with far more precision. NeuroLINK doesn't improve communication, it replaces it. No compression, no loss, no direct cognitive transfer at the speed thoughts occur, no describing the painting, transmitting the experience of self. Musk says you don't need to talk. 5 to 10 years until brain interfaces make speech optional. Talking persists for sentiment, for information. Speech becomes primitive compared to direct neural transmission. So that's a new little party he brought to the table there, that we don't even need to talk anymore.
No, I'll just think, Tammy,
you're annoying me.
And then you'll be like, you SOB.
Right back.
Yeah.
It'll be like
you won't even have to say that, because then I'll know that you said that, and we just look at each other. So imagine what kind of podcast that would be if we were all just sitting here, not even talking. I'm just looking at John, he's looking at me, we're communicating, and the listeners are looking at us, knowing what we're saying, and they're not even putting a comment in chat because we're hearing all those comments in our heads. Could you imagine that?
That'd be
listen,
a
I'm gonna
nightmare.
give you. Let's go to a movie, because I'm sure everybody's seen the movie. So you have a thought. You're not talking, but you have a thought in the privacy of your home, and all of a sudden they come and they scoop you up. They don't have to talk to you because they've already read your brain and your mind, and they've deemed you to be a security risk, and they take you out. They kill you. They eliminate you. You're eliminated. We saw that thought. We perceived it. You're gone.
Well, Elon, that ties into Elon said humans who don't merge with AI at high bandwidth don't just fall behind. They become incomprehensible to the intelligence that matters. We become insignificant, in his opinion. I mean, this
Well,
is some pretty
Stephen and
serious
I,
stuff.
That's
Stephen and I.
that's some pretty serious language,
Well,
man. That is some pretty serious language there.
Stephen and I were having that conversation today, and he told me, because I told him, I said, Stephen, I'm not going to. He goes, well, you're already using it. I said, yeah. And I know that Meta is collecting my data, and it understands how I feel about AI. I got it, but I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole. I'm not going to download and use AI for anything. I want to keep my brain function. And when it comes time, then yeah, I guess you'd have to ask Miss Jackie how it is not being able to connect to me, because there's sometimes where she just looks at me like I'm crazy. You know. And so I guess if AI can tell that, well, then I'm toast. But I'd rather be toast and be intact with my connectivity to God, and to the divine spark that rests in every one of us. And that why, and see, when you go into and the whole DARPA document I sent Tammy, when you get into the self-assembling nanobots and that technology, that is to reduce the frequency of your brain so that you lose that ability to even have a concept of God. That's where they're shoving this. That's where this is going.
They want to eliminate God. I totally agree with you, John Westerbrooks. They want to take, we talked about it for years on our podcast about how vaccines alone, they wanted to eliminate the God gene, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
They don't want us to have any connection to a Heavenly Father, to the Almighty, to God, whatever you want to call him. They want to eliminate that completely so that we all become transhuman and we're all just old robots, whatever's left of us on humanity and on the globe, because they're going to get rid of a lot of us. I believe that too. So,
well, yeah. He also said like, I don't know. He's been saying stuff out there. I saw proud of himself. He said basically 5 to 10 years for this. He said a deployment window, nonfiction. And he said that, basically it detonates the constraint. And he said from language as a default to NeuroLINK as a standard. So he says that's the way it should be. And he says the species that survived by evolving language is making it extinct with technology matching how fast we actually think. I mean, if God wanted us to do this, he would already have it in us. So a man trying to do this, I do think it's evil, and I do think it's a spiritual battle, and I do believe that is what it talks about in the Bible.
Yes.
You don't have to agree with me, but that's my take on it. And it's kind of concerning that it is here and it's ready to go. He's talking 5 to 10 years. He's already got stuff going in people's brains and stuff, but don't they always make it sound and look so good? And so they put the emotion to it. Look how healing and wonderful this is. Yeah, it is if it would stop there. But like I said, you have to trust the person controlling or driving the ship. And I don't trust any of these people. They have proven time and time again, these people that have billions and millions of dollars, what do? They experiment on us. They don't make us healthy. They haven't cured cancer. They haven't cured hunger, for God's sakes, all across the world. How come they haven't cured hunger? They experiment, and I just don't trust any of it. And maybe that's over the top, but by now they would be able to have clean water across this world, and they would be able to have not these starving children with flies all over them in these commercials saying donate to these children. They pull at your emotion is what they do. And I've learned that the hard way. LW tells me all the time, reel it in, Tammy, reel it in.
So if you understand the concept of money, and we look and we see $38 trillion of debt just for the U.S., but then when you go and you look around the globe at the trillions of dollars and you say, well, who do we owe it to? Who is this money owed to? Well, it's owed to the European Central Bank in London. Well, okay, they can stick it. Or they can just keep printing it. But here's the thing. For that $38 trillion, if you look globally, what problems on the planet for humanity could have been solved? And the answer is there's a whole lot of them. There shouldn't be a hungry child on the face of the earth. But, no, we're building war machines. We're doing this. But the bottom line is then you realize, well, no, wait a while, we're not just doing that. There's massive fraud involved. They're stealing it, and they just tell them, look, print some more. And they print some more. Well, why can't you do that just to solve the world's problems? They're not. They're not interested in that, because all we are is cattle. When you talk about healthcare, the very disease that we struggle with and the whole world fights with is cancer. Well, guess who the creators of the cancer are? John D. Rockefeller. It all goes back to the Rockefeller Foundation. They can't run from that. They can't hide from it. And here's the thing. When they flipped the switch and they gave us computers, and Jackie and I have this conversation, Steve has, and I've had it, the ability where they screwed up is they gave us the ability not to take their word, but to go find out for ourselves. And then when you find out exactly who John D. was and what he did, the creation of the Federal Reserve Bank, when you see that was all done in secret, and they knew that they were going to remove and control the planet's money, and anybody that didn't accept their control, they killed, they did away with. Muammar Gaddafi.
Yes, there's a history of it, John. And I want to address something. Somebody, I think Lily said, who are they? Well, it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about the banking system and control of money, go to what John is saying. If you're talking about the transhumanism, it's Elon and it's some companies in China. Depending in the Rockefellers, and we talked about Larry Fink, there are certain families that control banks and money, and that's all there is to it. And that's what we mean by they. And it just breaks down to what, depending on what compartment we're talking about. But real quick, we got to thank a couple of people here. Are you going to do it, LW?
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we got to say thanks to Camperman, longtime listener and viewer and supporter. He bought us 5 coffees, said, great show, just listening. And hey, John, don't take my name. Just kidding. So, John, you got called out here. And then a big thanks also to Patty J, who bought us I got to add that up with, I think 10 coffees. I'm going 5. Thank you. I was all geared up. She says, thank you for all you do. We appreciate each and every one of you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So that's really great.
That puts us now at 505.
Perfect.
So we're
getting there.
We got $245 to go. And then we've secured the Z Grill to give away at the end of next month. For our reverse grifting. So thank you guys. thank you guys so much for supporting the channel and donating. Like I said, we're giving all this money back to you. It helps pay War Machine for all of his talent. It pays for our producers. It also helps fund the silver coin giveaway, which we've already secured those coins. They're in Tammy's possession. We're going to be giving 6 silver coins away at the end of the month. We're going to be giving away a Z Grill, and Jeff has donated $200 gift certificates to the merch shop. So whoever wins those, you guys get to go in there and buy $100 worth of merchandise there. We got wonderful t-shirts, and we've got tumblers. We'll probably have a couple other things in there before the end of next month. So thank you guys for that. Really appreciate it.
And I want to address this real quick. It would have to be a whole, you can't in one line or a few minutes tell you why you believe in God. But Lily, God's not the one to eliminate hunger. We have free choice, free will, because he's not a dictator and a controller, sir or ma'am. So it is up to us to eliminate it. He gives us minds, free will to think. So it's not up to him to do it. It's up to us. But that's the short version. There's way too much. It's a whole show to go into anything more. But I wanted to at least give you a short version of my thoughts anyhow. So thank you for the comment.
Tammy, those 2 questions you asked earlier, yes. I said I'd like to circle back to.
Yes.
Can you throw those out again one more time, and let's see where the conversation goes with John and our viewers tonight on those questions that you were throwing out there.
Awesome. Okay, so the first question is, do you believe that AI and robots will make us lazy? For one, that's the first question. Then the second question is, will it make us less sociable? Will it make us less humane. Let's say, because we're going to be dating robots, we won't be dating people. You know what I mean?
Really?
Because
Okay,
there's enough of those out there.
Let's ask chat. Let's ask everybody tonight. Let's ask the replay people. Drop us a comment. Do you believe that there's a possibility that AI could make humans lazy? I already believe that with technology comes conveniences, and a lot of people live a very what's the word I want to use here? They live a life of luxury, and all of us live a life of luxury. I mean, we don't have to do certain things because we have the technology. So I do believe it can make us lazier. So that's a question to chat. And the second one was, do you think it can make us less sociable? Absolutely yes, because I already have children. I already have friends that have children that don't socialize at all because all they're doing is playing video games and they're on their phones. Hell, go out to dinner with 2 or 3 couples that you guys are real close to. I guarantee you 9 out of 10 people at that table are going to be doing this, Tammy, at the dinner table.
Yes.
And they're not even going to be talking. And that is less sociable. That's my own opinion. John Estabrooks.
Well, real quick, next time you guys go to a restaurant or in public, look around at all the tables and see what they're doing.
Yes,
that's all. Sorry.
All right. So now you can verify that, because when you look at the advent of when did the cell phone technology really unleash, and then you overlay that increase in the distribution of cell phone technology into the hands of young people, lay that chart and that massive spike in there, and then look at the obesity rate in children of the United States of America. So that's a fact. Now, they're not going to, Robert Kennedy's not going to come out and tell you, look, this is all linked to access to computers and cell phones. But when it's to me, when you look at the chart, it's like, God dog, man, if you know this is happening, it's not by happenstance. So yeah, it'll make you lazy. And that's where you become obese. And that's a whole different health issues. Antisocial, yes. They got hearing Mark Zuckerberg's tales in a courtroom over children that got so engulfed in the social media that they ended up committing suicide. And parents are trying to hold him accountable because, it's not just him. Instagram and TikTok will be YouTube.
Look at this, John.
Involved in it.
Before I lose this thought, to interject, look at all it's called mukbanging on TikTok and all that to influence children, where these people just order enough food for 10 people and they sit there and they eat it, and they're heavier than heck. They look like they're on their last legs, and people pay them to watch them eat and overindulge in the gluttony. And some of them have died from that. So what kind of influence is that on our children or teenagers, or even if it's 20-some-year-olds laughing at it? I mean, what is that doing to our psyches to think, I guess I'm not as bad for getting the supersized fries and the supersized drink, because look at this person over here. We have a problem with food in general, I think.
Well, and you listen, and this goes into Epstein, but it not just Epstein, but when you look at the arrest for online predators across the entire nation, and what's causing that? Well, okay, so if you're indulging in, and that's your life, you're online and you're seeking evil is a low vibrational frequency. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your thought process to carry out anything that's of a pornographic nature doesn't take any wisdom of God. It doesn't take, if you're elevated to a level of frequency that is in connection to God, Jesus Christ, and you have a belief that this, that's wrong. Well, you're actually, if you monitor your brain and the frequency of your neuropathic pathways in a person that has a deep foundation in good, vibrates at a higher frequency. These are all low frequency people. And then what are they doing with AI? They're advancing and wanting, and that's when I tell you this is about a control mechanism to detach us from the ability to have a God thought, that there is something outside that, and we all have those questions. Why am I here? What's my purpose? And then we have the opportunity to make good choices, bad choices. And if you'll notice, think about this now. Everybody in this chat that's listening, you have expressed anger at someone, and you know that feeling. You get enraged, and you're enraged. And then what happens physically to your body when you go silent? You have, oh, I'm sorry. But if you took a measurement in that anger deal, you're vibrating at one of the lowest frequency, because that's where it comes from, folks. That's why when you listen, I watched the deal. Anger is about the person that's angry. It's never about the person that they attack. And that's a fact. And you can see this, and they've done it medically. We've got great scientists. If you there's an aurora that you can visually see with medical equipment around a person that is angry, that when they walk up and they get within a 1 foot, 2 foot proximity of another person, that aurora will jump and it'll take over the other person. And then you got a big old red ball around them. So there's a reality to this. I'm not talking from stuff that's science fiction. They know it. They know exactly what they're doing. This is planned.
Yeah.
The Great Reset.
And everything is true, because everything out there, and I had said that in a text to you, that it seems like everything good out there ends up being bad or turns to negativity. It's like on purpose. It's like every time you get hopeful and happy about something, it's like the bottom falls out to on it. You know what I mean? And I know you're supposed to have hope. I know that you have faith in God and all that, but God needs to be first and forefront to help us manage all of this at a time like this. 100%. He should always be there. But anybody that hasn't turned to him yet, I would recommend that, because that's the only way out of this mess. That's it.
Great response. And that's the truth. And I want to share, somebody asked about the number. Who are they? Well, here's the bottom line. So you've got a couple hundred people. But when you break it down, you can even get it down to 100 people that are these satanic masters, and that's who they are. If the Epstein documents and all those files I don't want anybody to read them, but if you can, you have to understand this is a satanic blood cult that is in charge of the world. What do you think they want? Who's their arch enemy? Who's the enemy of Satan and Lucifer? God, Jesus Christ. Yeah. And here's the thing that I'll tell you. If you want to look at end time prophecies, everything that's taking place right now with this buildup of military around Iran, and when you go back into biblical times, that's Persia. When you look at that and you look at Gog and Magog, if you don't think that end time prophecy could come from this action, that if Trump takes it, what's he going to use to take executive action without a vote of the Congress to enter a war? Because you got to go back now. We entered Vietnam because of the Bay of Tonkin, a lie that was perpetrated. These Vietnamese attacked our ship. Oh, BS. Then the Twin Towers. We used the Twin Towers to capture people. The Patriot Act came out of that, but also the invasion of Afghanistan, when there was not a single Afghani in any of the proposed, what they say was damage from planes, which I don't accept and never will buy. But we didn't go to the Saudi Arabians. We attacked and went into Afghanistan. Why? What? Russia had been fighting in Afghanistan, and guess what? They couldn't defeat the Taliban. Why? Because we armed them. They were able to snipe Russian helicopters. But here's what was the battle and what was the control of Afghanistan about? The frickin' poppy fields. The CIA were running drugs across the planet Earth.
So
That's a
thick.
fact. It is
Yeah.
thick.
Yep.
But then
it was for big pharma, John. It was for big
Yeah.
pharma.
Yes, sir.
For all the oxy and,
Yes,
and all those pills, man.
Yeah.
They want humanity enslaved, whether it's
Yeah.
financial, whether it's on drugs, whatever it is, they want us all enslaved for control.
Yeah. And now go to the next one. So then we go and they say, well, that Saddam Hussein, that's some guns got weapons of mass destruction. And they never revealed a single weapon of mass destruction. Now, he was a dictator, no doubt about it. He killed off his own people with mustard gas, and that's proven stuff. But what did we do? We entered in and we lost men in a war with Iraq, because what was it that they wanted from Saddam? They wanted 20 years of free oil, and we got it. We are the military arm of these Satanists. That's what we are. That's what America is. Trump, I need a Nobel Peace Prize, while he's expanding the military at the fastest pace ever. Well, wait a while, Donald. So we need all these weapons for peace? Is that what it's going to bring us? When we arm the rest of the world, it's going to bring the American people peace? Well, I'm not a dummy. No, it's not. So but who's driving that? When Bibi Netanyahu comes over and sits down at the White House and has a conversation with Trump and then goes back to Israel and comes out like we don't need the United States of America. It's all a smoke and mirrors game. All they're waiting on is the time frame to pull whatever they will pull that they can blame on Iran to go in and light Iran up. Now,
all right. That is a segue into the end of tonight. The video I promised
there you go.
I was going to play. But before I do that, I want to check with Tammy and John and make sure there's nothing left on the table before I show this video. Again, there are going to be people in here that will agree with the video. There'll be people in here that scratch their head. Maybe it'll make them think a little bit. And then there's going to be people that disagree with it totally. And that's okay. This is not an echo chamber. This is a sharing information. So Tammy, I'll let you go first. Is there anything left on your list that you want to cover before we go to the video?
No, I would just want to add to what John said about Iran, because Lindsey Graham's over there frothing at the mouth, waiting for us to pull the trigger. I'm like, what the hell's he doing over there with Bibi? And, I just saw stuff on the internet today that we've got more ships and more stuff going over there. It's like getting pretty full over there and pretty busy with our stuff, ships, planes, whatever you want to call it, jets.
It costs the American people more tax dollars, more in debt. All of this is just putting us deeper in debt.
Yep. But that's it. Yep.
Well, Lindsay's making some money, God dog. And old Lindsay, he needs some more money. His military contractors are going to give him an envelope.
Yeah. Well, so John, is there anything left on the table with you, John, that you want to bring up before we play the video?
Well, just be mindful. This AI, advent of AI, is a control capture operation. You just got to know that, and then find your connection to the spark that resides inside of you that you were born with. That is a God frequency. Be in prayer. Be mindful. You exist and were created by a divinity that when he makes his move, he'll end all this.
Yeah. And I want to add
Tucker is home, just so you guys know. He's home, he's okay. That was reported earlier.
He went there and whoever was with him got pulled away from him and questioned and all that. They're home now, and Tucker's going to talk about it. So I was going to add that since we were talking about it, because he was over in Israel, which is the last place I would expect Tucker to be at, the way he was talking about Israel and Bibi. But so he's home safe.
He's not a friend of Mossad.
No.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let John explain what we're about to to watch here and just kind of lay some groundwork for it. John, again, this is not an echo chamber. I want everybody is welcome to their own opinion. We're going to watch and listen to this guy. I think he's got some very good information to share with everybody tonight, whether you believe in Q, don't believe in Q, you're red, you're blue, I don't give a shit, somewhere in the middle. I've been really trying hard to, I guess, open people's eyes to what this young man's going to tell us tonight, because this is how I feel. And I've been trying to really just nudge people and say, hey, pay attention and take the blinders off, because I feel like there's things that are happening that people are just kind of taking a blind eye to it because they're so focused on certain things. So go ahead, John.
Well, first off, this young man has been doing a deep dive. He was compelled by his heart and his connection to God to find, to do a deep dive and learn why things are happening. He sees his world and he sees all the chaos. And then he said, well, okay, what's doing this? How's it? And he's only been doing this for like 14 or 15 months. And I want you to listen to this young man, because what he's speaking is truth that he has captured off the internet, that he verified by himself without any assistance from AI. This is a guy that has a love of his country, and he thinks he's figured out exactly what's happening, and it's well worth a listen. You don't have to agree with it, but I'm going to tell you, he shares a lot of thoughts that I have. And I had a friend of mine the other day tell me, John, what did they do? How did they black pill you? I said, sis, if you ever believe it's possible to black pill me, then you've missed your mark. I'm not black pilled at all, but I'm only going to chase a psyop so far, and then I'm going to call BS on it, and I'm going to move on with my life. So listen and just recognize and respect the young man, because he's putting it out there, man. He's rapid and he's concise, a very smart individual, probably a very high IQ guy.
All right. Can you guys just let me know that you can hear this in chat? And Tammy, can you just let me know that you can hear it when I start this so we don't listen too far?
Yep.
If you still think politics is a battle between left and right.
Echo. Son of a B.
Just mute me and John and see if that helps.
Okay, I'll mute all of us. Here we go.
Yeah.
Globalism and nationalism, Trump and his enemies, then you're already outmatched. What you're watching isn't conflict, it's choreography. The noise, the outrage, the elections, the heroes and villains are all surface level theater designed to keep your eyes off the machinery that never changes. While people argue over personalities, power has quietly migrated into permanent boards, councils, and expert panels that do not campaign, do not answer to voters, and do not leave when administrations change. The Board of Peace isn't about ending war. It's about ending disruption. And once you see what role Trump actually played in that transition, you'll understand why opposition feels real, why nothing fundamentally changes, and why the system no longer needs your consent to function. People keep treating Donald Trump as if he represents a real rupture in the system, as if his presence proves opposition still exists. It doesn't. Trump's role was not to dismantle the structure, it was to absorb, redirect, and neutralize dissent that was becoming unmanageable after 2008. Occupy Wall Street scared the managerial class far more than any foreign enemy ever did. For the first time since the 1970s, the public was naming banks, naming financial instruments, naming systemic theft. That had to be shut down. Trump didn't emerge to fight the system. He emerged to rebrand it in nationalist language and pull anger away from finance, bureaucracy, and governance continuity, and then redirect it toward culture, identity, and spectacle. Look at what actually happened during his presidency, not what people felt. Central banking power expanded, not contracted. The Federal Reserve balance sheet exploded after COVID, setting the precedent for unlimited monetary intervention. CARES Act spending normalized direct coordination between the Treasury, the Fed, and major financial institutions. Operation Warp Speed centralized public-private power between government, pharmaceutical giants, and military logistics. Digital surveillance increased through border tech, telecom cooperation, and data sharing. None of this was rolled back. None of it was resisted. It was signed, funded, and normalized. Trump didn't break the machine. He proved it could survive populism. This is where nationalism versus globalism arguments collapse. Nationalism and globalism are not opposing systems. They are two user interfaces for the same back end. Globalism centralizes power above the nation state through treaties, financial institutions, NGOs, and multinational corporations. Nationalism centralizes power within the nation state through executive authority, security agencies, border enforcement, and emergency powers. Different branding, same outcome. Reduced local autonomy and increased managerial control. One says international order, the other says law and order. Both expand surveillance, enforcement, and dependency. The structure doesn't care which language you prefer as long as the authority flows upward and accountability dissolves. Trump's specific function was to make nationalism emotionally intoxicating while ensuring it remains structurally harmless. Drain the swamp was never followed by dismantling the administrative state. No major intelligence reform, no structural rollback of federal agencies, no breakup of financial monopolies. Instead, you got tax policy favoring capital, deregulation that strengthened corporate consolidation, and judicial appointments that stabilized institutional continuity. Even his supposed rebellion against NATO and global institutions ended in renegotiation, not withdrawal. The system bent rhetorically and remained intact materially. That is not failure. That is successful containment of opposition. And here's the part people refuse to face. Controlled opposition is more valuable than compliance. Trump polarized the population so effectively that systemic critique became impossible. If you criticized finance, you were accused of being a socialist. If you criticized surveillance, you were accused of helping enemies. If you criticized corporate power, you were told the real enemy was cultural degeneracy or foreign influence. Meanwhile, the managerial class, the unelected regulators, the defense contractors, the financial institutions, and the data brokers continued operating on continuity scripts that do not change with elections. Presidents rotate, boards remain, frameworks persist. This is why the so-called Board of Peace fits perfectly into the Trump era rather than contradicting it. Peace boards, security councils, and global stability panels don't negate nationalism, they require it. They need strong nation states capable of enforcing compliance internally while coordinating externally. National strength is not opposed to global order. It is the enforcement arm of it. The US military, intelligence apparatus, and financial leverage do not serve American voters. They serve systemic stability. Trump did not weaken that role. He reassured his base while continuing it. So when people say Trump is fighting globalism, what they really mean is Trump changed the story while the system advanced. That's the illusion. The anger was real. The grievances were real. The opposition was not. It was captured, branded, and monetized, then fed back into the system as loyalty. If you want real opposition, it never looks like a billionaire backed by media saturation, intelligence tolerance, and institutional survival. It looks boring. It looks procedural. It looks like dismantling incentives, not winning culture wars. And that's exactly why it never gets airtime. The so-called Board of Peace is not a contradiction to any of this. It is the logical end stage of empire stabilization. When an empire reaches the point where elections no longer produce meaningful policy divergence, where public trust is exhausted, and where conflict is constant but undesirable, power moves from charismatic leaders to permanent committees. Peace boards emerge to manage decline, not reverse it. They coordinate military restraint without dismantling military capacity, enforce financial discipline through sanctions rather than legislation, and legitimize coercion by wrapping it in expert consensus. This is how empires preserve continuity when legitimacy fails, by replacing political accountability with technocratic arbitration. Trump's role and the illusion of opposition surrounding him helped absorb public anger while these stabilization mechanisms quietly advanced, ensuring that no matter who occupies the presidency, the empire's core functions, finance, surveillance, enforcement, and narrative control, remain uninterrupted and centrally managed. Trump was not the end of the beast system. He is proof that it no longer needs to hide.
All right, we're all unmuted. I got a lot to say about this, but I want to go last, so I'm going to let ladies go first. Tammy, the Hammer Nation, your thoughts. And listen, I know this video is not for everybody. I know there's going to be some people shaking their head going, I trust the plan. That's fine. But we have to give you a different view. We have to look through different lenses, because I've been trying to say some of this stuff in a polite manner to a lot of people. But I feel like sometimes I go unheard. So Tammy, you go first.
I think that he made some pretty good points, and he gave me an understanding that I really didn't have with stuff, because as I've said before, everything's so convoluted. You have to dig in and break it apart in a million pieces to understand it. The banking and all that kind of stuff, and what he's saying, that's newer to me in the depth that it was, but it makes a lot of sense. And with Trump ensuring the system without having to hide it makes sense, which I don't want to say and I don't like, but the truth is the truth, and that resonates with me. I think he can only do so much, but I also think that what he's been doing lately, it's still always about everything else and everyone else across the world, and not as much as America first. And that's troubling for me. It's been troubling for me. And actually, you know, we didn't want wars and all that, but it was just put out by Gateway Pundit that Iran, the whole country is being bombed and blowing up. And they're saying that more action by the U.S. Military, that more Americans than they realize the war could be very soon with Iran. And if that happens, that's going to be the icing on the shit cake for me, because Trump said no more wars. And why are we going to war in Iran, to me, for Israel? So there's a lot to it that is not good. I want to hear good. I want to hear clarity. Instead of working out there all the time, work here, work with us. He seems like he's lost his touch with us because he's dealing with all this other stuff. But, and also he had a meeting with all the pharmaceutical people and made deals with them, which we didn't think he was going to do either. So there's just a lot that I'm just not happy with.
John Estabrooks, brother.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on this?
Well, there's some very key truths that the young man spoke that we can all relate to, because when he spoke about no accountability. So we are the people, and I'm going to promise you one thing: this young man never went to Q. He hadn't read a Q post. He doesn't know nothing about that. He doesn't have any concern about the plan. He's just basing it on the facts of what he sees. And all right, so I can respect that. But when he spoke about no accountability, what's the single thing that we as a base, the MAGA base, whatever you want to call it, America First, what is the single thing that we have, man, been crying about? Where's the arrest? Where's the accountability? Where's the arrest? And we know all of the crimes. We've listened to all the congressional hearings and testimony, yet no one has been slapped in handcuffs. You know what I mean? And they'll give you one every 6 months or so, and you think, oh, my God, who's next? You know, is this the one that's going to shock the world? Well, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, it's impressive that a young man can be that concise with how he put it together, because he laid it out brick by brick. And he's only been down the rabbit hole for 15, 14 months. Got a warrior right there, folks. And he is connected to the divine spark. You know, you can tell that about it. I mean, he didn't lay out any hate of anyone. He just said, hey, here's what we're looking at. You know, see it for what it is. And right now, if we accept the plan, then we're living in a dual reality, and we're seeing the first reality, the real world that we live in each and every day, all the economic upsets, all the coming of war and the advancement of the war machine. We're living that. We're going to see the collapse of the dollars being devalued. We know that we can't go into the grocery store and buy a grocery cart for under a couple $100. That's real. We see that. We feel that. And we also see that no one's been arrested for the crimes that they've committed. You know, there's no one answering for the $38 trillion of debt. All of that is real. So that's a reality that we all live in each and every day. We see it. We feel it. Humans are being displaced by AI. That's real. That's taking place. We see it. But there's a plan, and it's coming. But we just don't know the time. Well, what if the time never comes and we're captured and caught with no way out? Because there's one thing about a good wall. If you build a good wall, not only will it keep people out, it'll also keep people in. Think about it.
Okay, well, that's a different perspective. I've never heard anybody actually say, John Estabrooks. And so here goes my long-winded whole thing about this. I love all of you guys, man. I really do. We have the best mods in the business. We have some of the brightest and smartest listeners out there. You guys do a lot of research. You share a lot of information with us, and it is truly appreciated. With that being said, I feel like sometimes you got to step aside a little bit and allow other perspectives and other researchers, because we all claim to be researchers, right? Tammy above me here, she claims to be a researcher. John, you've claimed to be a researcher. I've claimed on air to be a researcher, and a lot of people in chat claim that they do their research. Okay, well, this young man is a researcher. And I agree with John. He has not jumped down the rabbit hole of Q. And I actually appreciate that, because he brings a whole different perspective. I feel like what he says has been backed up by research and fact, not illusion, not fantasy, but fact. He is seeing what is happening in our past, in our present, and what's going to happen in our future. And he is calling it like it is. He has nothing to gain, and he has nothing to lose. He's not doing this for clicks. He's not doing this to sell silver. He's not doing this to be the next Scott McKay. He's not doing this to be the next, who's the other
Phil, your favorite.
Yeah, Phil Godletsky. He's not doing this for the reasons that those individuals are doing this. He is just putting out information. That's what I appreciate about this.
Let me give you some background, Mike.
Go ahead.
Here's what I learned about him, because I mean, then I started doing, who is this guy? This cat, he lives in a 1 or 2 room rented house. He works for a mom and pop mechanic shop, and he makes $15 an hour. So that's who he is. He's just a working man. He's just a
blue collar. He's a blue collar guy who's struggling, like all of us listening tonight, all of us watching tonight. He is an American. He is one of us. And he's putting this stuff out there for people to say, hey, listen, wake up a little bit, because you know what they say? The wolf in sheep's clothing can pull the wool over people's eyes, and they don't even realize it until it's too late. Now, am I saying everything that this guy is putting out there is 100% truth? No, I'm sure there's some mistakes in there somewhere, but I'm telling you, he has nothing to gain from this other than just trying to wake people up to a different perspective. And I want to share those perspectives on this show. I don't want to just have this echo chamber where everybody's saying the same shit. What's my saying, Tammy? What's the one that I got from General Patton that I like to say all the time now, because I think it's very important?
If everybody's thinking the same, then somebody's not thinking.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And this guy is not thinking like a lot of people think. This guy is thinking completely different. And so I like that saying. If all of us are in this echo chamber, we're all talking the same, we're all thinking the same, then somebody's not fucking thinking. And I don't want to be that person. I want to bring reality. I want to bring truth, and I want to bring facts. I don't want to bring dreams and fantasy and all the other stuff. I want to shake people. If you're mad at me and you feel like I'm stepping on your damn toes, good. I hope so, because maybe it'll make you think a little bit more and go, holy shit, what if some of the stuff I'm believing is not truth? What if so that's my job. My job is to shake people up, make them think a little bit different. And if you want to think the same, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to stay on the course, stay the course, stick with the plan, stick with the belief, that's okay too. But there are people in here that watch this show. There are people that never comment, but they watch this show all the time. I want to give them the opportunity to hear something different than just the same old shit all the time that same old stuff that's been said for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years now. The goalpost has been moved lots of times. There's been no accountability. There's been no real arrest. Those people are in here too, and they keep asking all the time, when's this going to happen? Why do they keep moving the goalpost? Why do they say now it's Easter, and then it might be 4th of July, and then it might be the end of the year if it doesn't happen by midterms, right? Those are all the things that keep getting played over and over again. Well, it'll happen before midterms. It'll happen by midterms. It'll happen by the 4th of July. What do those dates come and go and nothing happens? Like, that's a very big concern of mine. And so I have to share that with you guys.
Well, I'll add on that real quick to the so-called prophets that are popular online, and people aren't going to like this one, but Julie Green has been wrong so many times. When you say open your mind, you may like her and you may suck up everything she says, but have you ever gone back to see how much she's wrong and didn't come true and how much she moved the goalpost? Because there's a man that is also a preacher named Drew Patterson, I think, or Drew B or something. Anyways, he puts her own videos up there and what she says with time dates on when she says stuff's going to happen or all this and that. And then it never came true. And you got to remember, it only takes a prophet one time to be a false prophet to get something wrong. It says in the Bible, prophets don't get things wrong. True prophets of God, they do not. You get something wrong, there's no redo. So my concern is for people who are thinking they are following Jesus's prophets and they're not. So that's another area you can open your mind with. Alabama Woodsman is another good one. Spencer Smith is out there. He's another good one on YouTube. So when LW says open up your mind, it's okay if you like her and you still want to believe it, but at least do yourself some justice and find balance and go see what they have to say about things and see if it rings something true to you, because sometimes we get sucked up into things we want to believe so bad that we ignore when people are wrong. We ignore what they say isn't truth, and things fall apart. And then you just give them credit and you go on to the next thing. We have a very short-term memory when it comes to those people we love and follow being wrong and never saying they're wrong. They don't admit that they're wrong. So
okay. I think that's a great statement, Tammy. And that leads me to my final question tonight. And then we'll roll into final thoughts. So I'll give you and John Estabrooks a chance to gather your thoughts and get ready for your closing argument here. This is my question to you guys listening tonight. And I love you guys, man. This is just amazing. And I love all the comments. I'm trying to read as many comments and put them up on screen as often as I possibly can. I try to cover all the comments when you guys are watching this replay and you're putting them up there. So here's my question, my final question for tonight. Do you believe if somebody claims to be a prophet and they prophesy something and it does not come true? And I know a lot of people will defend them and say, well, when they said this Christmas, they meant next Christmas. And then next Christmas comes and they said, well, they never really said which Christmas. They just said a Christmas. Shit, that could be Christmas of 3015. Who knows, right? So if you know of a person who is a prophet, claims to be a prophet, maybe you follow him, maybe you don't, maybe you've never even heard of him. Let's just pretend you've never heard of this person. Let's just call him Joe Smith, and he's a prophet, and he prophesies something and says this is going to happen by, let's say, 4th of July of 2026. Joe Smith says that this is going to happen by July 4th of 2026, and it does not happen. Is he a true prophet? Or is he a fake or a liar? That's my question to you. Do you believe that if somebody claims to be a prophet, says they're a prophet, somebody else calls them a prophet, they prophesy and it does not come true, are they still a real prophet? That's my question for you. I'm going to go to Tammy tonight because usually we go to Jeff because he likes to scoot, but I know John likes to hang around. So I'm going to go to Tammy tonight, and ladies first again for your final thought, and then John Estabrooks.
And I'm going to, my final thought's going to tie into Carlene and what she said about asking God for discernment. I totally agree 100%. If you do have a deep personal relationship with him, as you says, you'll know beyond of a shadow of a doubt. So you have to trust God. For those who don't have God, I ask you, what are you waiting for? Because doing it on your own is really not a very safe thing to do because everything's out of our control. We think we have control. We don't have control. And I just hope and pray that people find truth is as much as they can find, because there's a lot of psyops and a lot of bad things going on out there. But if you anchor in Jesus Christ, you're going to be A-okay no matter what happens.
All right. Yeah, John Estabrook, your final thought, brother.
Well, that's pretty powerful, Miss Tammy. And I'll just carry on with that. In the book, the word, the Bible, and even if you, and I know that religion has distorted the word, that some words they don't want to recognize. They don't want to recognize the Gnostic belief. They don't want to recognize the Ethiopian Bible. But in the one thing that's consistent in the Bible, and especially the Old Testament, when you look back at the Old Testament and things that are happening in our lifetime today, were prophesied for 2,000 years, and now we witness them come true. So trust the word. If you don't know the word, commit yourself to doing that. Take the time to find that connection, and in that connection, you'll learn that the one thing that's consistent through all gospels, even the Gnostic and Ethiopian Bible, in our Holy Bible, King James Version, I don't care. when you look at it, the consistency of what did Jesus Christ say? That our spark is within. It's not some outside in the sky dream or vision. God rests within you. You have to find that connection to that peace and love that will come to you when you make that connection. I spend 30 minutes to an hour each day in my inner room. And my inner room is not any particular room in my house. It's being mindful of God, focusing not on all of the things that I have that I could focus on. I shut out all distractions, shut out all noise, and I search for that and close my eyes and pray for the connection to what I know and believe is the salvation for all humanity. And these men can think they've conquered it, their AI and everything that they want to unleash on humanity. God's not going to let it happen. And I always close. God wins. Trust that.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, I appreciate both your guys' final thoughts, and here's mine. I don't know how to say this, so I'm just gonna give it to you raw. I pray, my prayer tonight is that we all recognize as much as we possibly can the truth, because it is hidden and we're being lied to all the time. I give you a prime example. I believe that I'm a God-led person, and I can tell you my discernment is a lot different than a lot of people in this chat tonight. They all claim the same thing, and I do not challenge their beliefs. I believe it to be true for them as well. But when you have two preachers saying two different things, and you have two prophets saying two different things, who do you believe? And I believe John. You got to have your faith in Jesus Christ and our Heavenly Father. But this happens all the time, and it's going to continue to happen. And we watch it unfold. We watch one prophet say one thing, doesn't come true, and a preacher prove them to be wrong and false. And so I believe the preacher who's proven prophet to be wrong and false has discernment from Heavenly Father. He has a relationship with Jesus Christ. He has profoundly confessed it. And so is this other person that claims to be a prophet. And so that can really scramble people's brains. So my prayer tonight is that we all can find the real truth. And it's there. It's right in front of you. And a lot of people, I just believe, don't pay attention to it, and they refuse to. And so that's my prayer, is that we all come together and we all be able to really find that truth and love one another and accept each other for who we are. And that's my final thought for tonight.
And don't forget, the devil knows the Bible better than we do.
Yes, he does.
He uses that.
Amen.
That devil knows the Bible better than anybody on this show tonight and anybody listening on this show tonight. And he is very deceitful, and he will. And it says in the last days, he will fool a lot of people. A lot of people will be fooled by the devil in the last days. And I think that rings true. And I really hope that people, just ask for that discernment and have that cloak pulled back, because it's right there in front of us. All right. Thank you, John, for the topics tonight. I know you and Tammy worked on it hard, and thank you, Tammy, for producing this show. Mm-hmm. It's just been another great conversation, great comments in chat. Keep putting those comments in there. We love to see them. And I don't know, Tammy, today's what, Wednesday? So I'm thinking we'll probably be back Monday night with Jeff B, unless something happens and I'm out of town. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much our schedule, is back with Jeff on Monday, and we hope to see you all back Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that being said, God bless each and every one of you. Love you, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.